automatic.
Welcome to this practical on chicken Mornay and bread cases. The first thing I want you to do after you've set up your workspace with all your equipment is to complete your mise en place. So that involves creating cloute out of onion, brumaring some onion, crushing some garlic, chopping some parsley, clarifying butter, cutting the chicken into strips, and making the bread baskets. So that is the mise en place in total. I'll go over it again. We're going to do an onion cloute, some brunoise onion, crushing garlic, clarifying butter, chopping parsley, cutting chicken into strips, and making the bread baskets. Okay, the mise en place, the cloute. So I'll get one onion, half will be transformed into the cloute, which is studded with cloves, and the other half I'll brunoise. So here we go. Cut the end off, both ends, in half, and peel. So the cloute, as I said, it is studded with cloves, so basically it's quite a traditional element and it helps infuse the milk, which will in turn make our bechamel out of later down the track. So you just stud it in there like so. Now often you use multiple onions with a whole lot more cloves than this, but just to get you in the swing or the idea of things, that is what a cloute will look like. The other half of onion I turn into brunoise. So I'm just using the tip of the knife and going all the way bar 5mm from the end so it stays in one piece. And then I turn it horizontal and I just brunoise as fine as you can possibly get. Okay, continuing on with our mise en place, we need to chop this parsley quite fine, so you need to wash that. Squeeze the excess water out, bunch it together, help by the side of your knife to try and pack it really tight. And just use the claw grip. If you can get down close, you can see the knuckle is tucked, the fingertip is tucked in, away from where the knife blade will hit the bench. And I need to fine as, really fine. Bring it together. This hand just keeps the pressure, you don't have to put much pressure on there, it just holds that knife tip on it. This one just levers it up and down like a Okay, when we're working with green herbs, and if you're chopping green herbs really finely, you'll notice that they will leave a stain. So you can even see it on the board if you're chopping large quantities. And if I was going to mix that through a white sauce like we will do today in a bechamel, then it'll stain your bechamel green. So we need to wash that. You can do it in a clean chucks. Just place your ingredients or your parsley in the middle. Into the middle. Bundle it up, just like so, twist it into a little bonbon, and then under running cold water, just soak it up, soak it up, soak it up, and then twist it quite firmly, and you'll notice that a lot of the green will soak out. And what you'll be left with is some nice dried chopped parsley, like so. Yeah. A little bit of salt if you need to. Okay, another element, say if you don't have pre-grated cheese, you'll need to grate it. So a little block like that, using the big teeth over here, just with a flat hand. Okay, we've got the chicken now. The chicken's probably the most, potentially hazardous food, so just remember that you sanitise your work area, you clean your hands fresh, your knife blade is nice and shiny and clean. So just chop this up quite fine. It's going to go into quite a small basket, so this needs to be cut into small chunks, about 1 centimetre at the largest. What I've produced here is some clarified butter. So basically clarified butter is clear butter. So you get solid butter, melt it down in the microwave or on the stovetop, and then you let it settle. And if you come up close with the camera, you can see that there'll be a line of white stuff down the bottom, which will settle at the bottom, and the yellow fat above that. We really only want this yellow fat, the clear stuff. That's what we're going to use to spread our bread with. Okay, we've got the white bread. We just need to take the edges off that and then rolling pin it, brush it with the clarified butter into the muffin trays and into the oven. So remove the edges just with the bread knife. You don't need to put much weight on there. Those teeth will cut through there with ease, just like using cut wood. Back and forth, no pressure. Rolling pin. Do a couple at a time. And basically the bread basket's sort of like a pastry base, and it will harden like a crouton. The clarified butter will help flavour it, and not just flavour it, give it that golden texture and also crunch. So we'll get these nice and flat. Okay, remember you just want that clarified butter, so when I pour it, if you come over closer, you'll notice that the white stuff sits at the bottom there. We don't want that, so we just stop it like so. And then I'll have some beautiful clarified butter. I'm going to brush it onto this bread. Brush, 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 brush. Brush, 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 brush. Brush, 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 brush. Like so. I'm going to use a cutter now. You take notice that the cutter needs to be larger than the actual muffin tops, because you have to take into account the actual size. So you need this to be a basket, therefore they need to be larger than the top circumference of the muffin tray. Like so. So use the cutters to cut the bread. Look like eyes. Now press them into there. The oven is preheating to 180 degrees. These in the oven will take 10 to 15 minutes at 180. So along with our prepared bases, we have our, if you can come in closer, we have our crushed garlic, our chopped parsley, our brunoise onion, and our cloute of onion. Okay, we're going to make the bechamel. So bechamel is a white sauce, so it's basically a Mornay without cheese. So you start off by infusing the milk. We have our milk into a small, thick base saucepan. We're going to put the cloute in there and onto a nice low heat. We just need another small pot. And on the low heat, we're going to make our roux. So the roux is the thickening agent or the base for this bechamel. A roux is spelled R-O-U-X. And we have three forms, a white, a blonde and a brown, depending on how long you cook that butter out, the butter and flour. So the butter will tend to go brown the longer you cook it. So we have that. We're going to melt butter. So a roux consists of equal parts butter and equal parts flour. Okay, now that the butter is tending to melt, I'm just going to add the flour. Just need a wooden spoon. Always use appropriate equipment. You come over here and see it'll come together, and you really want it set cooking off the sides of the pot. You'll see it cook off the sides of the pot, and it is really important that you do cook that flour out and cook the starchiness out so that you don't get that floury flavour in your end result. You don't want to cook it so much that it colours, just enough so it cooks that stale starchiness of the flour out. So at this stage I've got the two elements. I've got the milk heating up on a supple, we don't want to boil it so it overflows, we just want it to infuse and just heat up lightly. And I have my roux. So they're the two elements that make the bechamel. Gradual, I mean a little bit at a time. And I'll just stir that. Just make sure you can see. You'll stir it. Just stir it quite vigorously, and you'll see it start to bind and start to take, and it'll start to cook off the edges again. And we need to get that very smooth as possible. And then once it starts cooking off the edges again, I can combine our next instalment of milk. And I'll tend to finish it with a whisk. It gives me the ability to ensure that we finish with a smooth product. To finish this sauce, you're going to need to add salt and pepper. White pepper, a little bit, very potent white pepper, and salt. Put that aside off the heat, and we'll make a cartouche. A cartouche will sit above that on the liquid and prevent a skin from forming. So the cartouche, you just need greaseproof paper or Glad bait. It just needs to be big enough so it covers the circumference of the pot surface. So, yep, that's big enough, well and truly big enough. So all I do is fold it in half, bang, and fold it in quarters, bang, keeping in mind the middle of the paper. So the middle is here, so if I unfold it, that is the middle, back in quarters, and then I fold it into a triangle. Then I fold it into another triangle. This is still the middle. You don't want to lose track of the middle. And you fold it again. And you fold it again until you're left with something that resembles one of those really fast aeroplanes, Concorde. So that is basically the fundamentals behind a cartouche. All I'm left to do is gauge where the middle of the pot is. So I just gauge where the middle is like so. And with my fingers here, when I unravel this, it should look like a circle, and I'll call that a cartouche. That'll sit on top of the bechamel and prevent a skin forming. We've finished our mise en place, we've done our bechamel, we're basically in the stages of finishing off. So all I have to do is cook the chicken, combine it with our bechamel, fill our baskets, put a little cheese on top, into the oven, and that's it. Hunky-dory, Bob's your auntie. So the chicken, a little bit of oil, but I've got this clarified butter left over, so I can use that. I don't want to waste. You guys can use oil. I've just had this left over. Into my oil, I'm going to place some onion and garlic. Once that is infused and you've extracted some of those beautiful aromatics, I can add the chicken. At this stage you can turn the heat up because the chicken will produce a lot of moisture in the pan. With the recipe that you have, you'll yield almost 500 mils of bechamel. You're only going to require to use 200 of that. So I want to collect 200 off you, and the other 200 you use to make your baskets. So I'll put into here half. I like my chicken and parsley, which will freshen up the colours. Mix those up. Straight into the baskets. Don't overfill them. So the finishing touches, cheese, fromage. This is a nice little pinch on top. That's going to melt, caramelise and give it an intense flavour, or a more intense flavour. That is it. In the oven, 5 minutes, 180, Bob's your own patient. I always harp on about presentation. It's one of the most important elements of serving food to a guest. You know, obviously eat with your eyes first. So presenting these, I use a butter knife to get them out of this tray. The tray is quite hot. Onto a prepared platter. Now, these could be used as a shared entree for 4 people. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 on that. And the simple is getting a pinch of cayenne pepper, and just going like that.